Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver George Pickens exposes the truth about the rumor that he wants to trade out of Pittsburgh. So far this offseason, there's been a rumor going along that George Pickens will be traded, or that George Pickens would actually prefer a trade out of Pittsburgh because of the lack of offense in the Steelers system and his belief that he should be getting the ball more. But he shuts that all down. So, before I get more into that, however, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, George Pickens, for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season, he finished with 14 games played with 59 receptions, 900 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Those aren't amazing numbers, but you have to realize that he did miss 3 games, and he was on pace for over 1,000 yards. But those 3 touchdowns, they need to be targeted more in the red zone or just in touchdown opportunities. So, anyway, George Pickens, because of that lack of success or lack of getting the ball only 59 times, 59 receptions, there's rumors going along that, hey, he right now should be traded, get some value for him, and because of his attitude and everything like that, his demonstration of frustration when he doesn't get the football, he should be traded before he blows up and it becomes a liability instead of an asset. So there are a lot of rumors going along like that, and there's also a lot of rumors going along like, hey, George Pickens, he actually would want out of Pittsburgh because he doesn't even get the ball. Only 59 times as the number 1 wide receiver. He only has 3 touchdowns, barely gets opportunities, targets in the red zone, everything like that. Also, the fact that the Steelers' offense is just not good, and it's more of a running offense. The play caller's not good, the quarterback's not good. There's no kind of baseline to the Steelers' offense right now. George Pickens is kind of the superstar of the offense, but he's not treated like the superstar instead in terms of the play calls towards him, making it easy for him. That just isn't there. So George Pickens should want out of Pittsburgh, and George Pickens does want out of Pittsburgh. So that's the rumor. Well, George Pickens, he took to social media, and this is what he had to say about everything that's going on surrounding him and all the trade suggestions for him. He says, stop lying for clicks. That's the baseline of what he's saying. Stop lying for clicks. So he says, via me, these pages are not in the building or any facility. Just stop lying for clicks and views, my brother. So George Pickens, he shuts down the trade ideas on Instagram. So George Pickens, when he messaged that, when he sent that message, it was to an idea that he wants out of Pittsburgh and basically a trade rumor and a trade that could be done. So George Pickens, he took exception to that idea, and that's when he responded. So it's really good to see George Pickens shutting down these trade rumors, because also you have to realize that, hey, George Pickens, after the season, he did really kind of make a comment about the Steelers' offense. Like, it's not like a bright spot in their offense right now, and basically, like, he's not looking forward to it based off how they're performing and everything like that. So he didn't make a comment like that, and it kind of had everyone's eyes turning or heads turning, be like, hey, does he want out of Pittsburgh because of this comment? Also, there's some maturity issues in terms of a report that was going on that George Pickens was actually late for team meetings when you're supposed to be there 2 hours before for the Chiefs week or something like that. So the second last week of the regular season, that they were supposed to be there 2 hours before, but George Pickens was actually late to the team meetings, things like that. And that's the reason why he didn't play. But there's some rumors going along surrounding him with those kind of things on the field, off the field situations. So that's why all these rumors about him being traded potentially have come up, and that he would actually want out of Pittsburgh, but he shut that all down. But that doesn't mean that he still won't be traded. Yes, I know, George Pickens, he could ask for a trade out, but he doesn't want to ask for a trade out. He made that clear in this kind of Instagram post, a social media post, and things like that. He's also used his words saying that he doesn't want a Pittsburgh before, but anyway, let's move over to, can he still be traded? Obviously, if the team decides that, hey, he's going to be more of a liability for us, then he is going to be a bright spot in our future in terms of the way he's acting and things like that, and they want to trade him before he blows up, and they want to trade him before he gets out of his rookie contract, because then they'll probably get the most for him in terms of value because he's still on that rookie deal and things like that. Then they could trade him, and they could probably get a lot for him because he is one of the best receivers in the NFL. But at the same time, you have to look at it like this. If you're going to replace George Pickens, who are you replacing George Pickens with? Are you going to take a chance on someone in the draft, and then that draft ends up being a bust? Or are you going to pay someone a free agency to come over, and then he ends up not doing so well in terms of free agency value? Because that's what always ends up happening with the Steelers draft or free agency pickups, I mean. So George Pickens, how are you going to replace him if you do end up trading him? Will the Steelers still do it? Yes, they obviously still could. And Big Ben on his podcast basically said the exact same thing. You want to trade George Pickens right now for the Steelers while he's still on the rookie deal. If you don't trade him while he's on the rookie deal, that's not when you get the most value for him. So if you don't do it then you might as well keep him. And then you might as well just pay him a huge contract. So that's Big Ben's thoughts on the situation. Trade him while he's on the rookie deal, or pay him huge money and go forward with him and show belief in him. Me personally, would I trade George Pickens? No, I would not. Only basically because he is the best receiver on the team. He's the best playmaker on the team, everything like that. And he's one of the top 10, I would say, best receivers in the NFL. The fact that he put up 900 yards on only 59 receptions, imagine if he was being targeted over 100 times a game. 100 times in a season. Imagine if he did have 100 receptions. If he's getting close to 1,000 yards on only 59 receptions, if he put up 100, he would have been 1,700, around there, even higher, based off his average. So George Pickens, if he's getting the ball in a proper offense, he will go off. He will explode, and those numbers will be unworldly, and he will be look like and be one of the best receivers in the NFL. And he would be up there with the Justin Jeffersons, Jamar Chase. But the fact that he's not getting targeted, the fact that he doesn't have those receptions, that makes his numbers go down. And 900 yards for 59 receptions is a lot. Yes, 3 touchdowns isn't, but that's more so the Steelers not getting him involved in the red zone. That number could go up a lot as well. But just in terms of what he brings to the Steelers offense, he basically was their whole passing game. We saw how bad the Steelers' passing game was when he was out for those 3 weeks. Yes, we had those games where Calvin Austin went off, and Calvin Austin had a really good season, especially for someone who it didn't seem like was going to be a main focal point in the Steelers' offense. Russell Wilson spoke to this, but said Calvin Austin is like the breakout player for the Steelers this season. But anyway, yes, we had good other receivers kind of step up in certain situations, but George Pickens is still the playmaker and the only basic focal point of the Steelers' offense. Without him, the passing game was not good. And without him, the Steelers' offense just would not move the football. No deep shots and things like that. Yes, we had Mike Williams here and there, but it was more so George Pickens than anyone else. So if you trade George Pickens, you're basically taking out a huge portion of this offense, and this offense already just isn't good. So you can't take away George Pickens at this point unless you're going out and getting another top of the top receivers. So me personally, would I trade George Pickens? No. Does he want out of Pittsburgh? No. Can the Steelers still do it? Yes, they can, but will they? Probably not. But George Pickens, he is a really good receiver, and it's not more so about that. It's more so about his attitude and things like that. I understand, but at the same point, you have to look at it like this. A lot of players in the league right now are divas. Yes, they want the football. So it's many receivers going along. We just don't see it be talked about as much because it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is George Pickens, so it gets talked about more. But other players do the same thing. But George Pickens, you have to realize that he's only 23 years old. This is going to be his 4th season this upcoming year. So he's still very, very young, still maturing, and Mike Tomlin has taken his time with George Pickens, and so is the Steelers. So that's the thing. He still is really young in this league, and he's making plays at only 23 years old and doing things that other players have never done in terms of being able to tort their body and make the catches that he's making. So he's really young doing this, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get more mature. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, I say stick with him and keep him on the team. Don't trade him away, and he'll show why. Anyway, that's my thoughts, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on the situation of George Pickens shutting down the rumors that he wants out of Pittsburgh, basically saying, no, he doesn't. Do you believe that he does? Do you believe that the Steelers should trade him, shouldn't trade him? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports. Everything surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers, I cover it. Even though it's off-season, covering the whole off-season, free agency, the draft, everything. So stay tuned to the channel, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.